Good morning, YouTube. It's 4:30 in the morning, and why am I awake? Because I just don't sleep well. Except when I do get to sleep, and then I just sleep nonstop, sometimes for hours and hours and hours and days. I forgot the date. It's doing the pull down thing. It's Sunday, October 24th, 4:30 in the morning. And I'm shooting vertical video. My apologies for that, but I got a big box in my right hand, and it's very difficult to carry an iPhone in a horizontal position to shoot normal aspect ratio video, normal orientation video, while carrying something as awkward as this rather. It's not a huge box, but it's a larger box than what I typically ship. So I got an order. I've had a listing on eBay for quite some time for empty, lightly used DVD cases. The individual cases that DVDs come in. Also used for a lot of different styles of video games. And so far I've only sold 10, and it doesn't qualify as media, so I don't get the media mail shipping, and the minimum for first class or parcel post or whatever it is that has to be shipped, it is considerably more expensive than media mail. Media mail, when I started kind of pumping up my eBay again, media mail was started at like $2.85, I think, and now it's like $3.10. So it went up a little bit, but not significant. But I forget what first class parcels start at. It seems like it was about $6. Anyway, I had a 10-pack, I think, for $9.99, and it ended up being, I don't know, after shipping and eBay's cut, I think I broke even. In fact, I might have lost a little bit of money on the 10 empty cases. And I went back and I revised the listings, and I have two identical listings. One for DVD cases that are translucent, made out of a clear plastic, and then one for DVD cases that are made out of a black plastic. And both of them, have the thin plastic around the outside that you put the paper insert in. Basically, the purpose of these is, you can use them for your burn discs. And that's actually, when I acquired all these, I acquired a huge collection of burned DVDs that were in these, and it just seemed like overkill having them in these. I didn't have space for it. And basically, what I did is I just got a bunch of just normal plain paper sleeves, and I folded up all the inserts. They were printed. It's not like it was any kind of original media or anything. I folded up all those and stuck them inside the sleeves, and then put them in drawers. So I'm just really short on shelf space for media as it is. I definitely it was something I wanted to keep. It has no value. It's burned media, but I filled 4 drawers. In fact, I bought a special unit from IKEA just to hold them, and it would have taken up an insane amount of shelf space had I left them in the cases. But I put all those discs into sleeves and into drawers, and to be honest, I've only watched a really small portion of them, but the ones I've watched I've really enjoyed. Some classic older movies, just some random children's movies that I didn't have, and those ones I watched with Lily. I think probably the most random thing that I remember watching out of that pile of huge collection of burned discs that I got, and the backstory on that is one of my sisters, this is many years ago, she's got a son that at the time was a teenager, and he's like in his Jesus, probably in his mid-20s now. And I guess he's super popular now because his name is Brandon, and I keep hearing people saying, let's go Brandon, like everywhere. So I guess he's like internationally famous, so way to go, Brandon. Anyway, at the time, Brandon was a teenager, and his friend had this huge, I guess it was his friend's parents or something like that, this huge collection, didn't want it anymore. And I almost get the feeling like that it was somebody that was borrowing discs from Netflix back in the days when Netflix, and I've heard they still have the service, but I don't know anybody that actually uses it. But back when on Netflix, you would go to their website and pick out what DVDs you wanted, and they would mail them to you, and you would watch them like a library rental kind of thing, and put them in the envelopes and mail back. And I just believe this guy just rented an insane amount of those and then made duplicates of them. And then basically went on some website and got the information about it. Each one has like a kind of a image, not the actual image of what would have been on the cover, but kind of like a promotional image for the movie. And then the title, the year, and just like maybe got it from IMDb. There's like a blurb kind of explaining what it is. And mind you, I mean, we're talking hundreds of these. And anyway, my nephew, Brandon, brought them home. I'm thinking Brandon was probably about 14, 15 when this happened. So we're talking like a decade ago. Brought them home. And for a while, my sister and her, I'm not sure if he was a husband or a boyfriend then. I know they got married. It seems like they got married later. I'm not sure if they're still together now because her and I really don't talk anymore. And that's a whole other story I'd rather not get into. But at any rate, I don't really talk to her anymore. I don't really talk to Brandon anymore. Or the husband, for that matter. But anyway, I used to go to their place. They lived way on the west side, like Tolleson, on 99th Avenue in McDowell. More like 91st Avenue in McDowell. But anyway, I used to go there every so often and kind of hang out. And I honestly, out of the bunch, I really miss their turtle Steve-O. Yeah, she had a turtle named Steve-O that always seemed to recognize me. She got that turtle when it was a little teeny tiny thing, and it grew pretty big. And people say that kind of an animal can't recognize somebody, but I noticed how Steve-O reacts to other people, and how Steve-O would react when I would show up. And I miss the goddamn turtle. Anyway, they had this huge collection, and for a while they were watching them and stuff. And at one point they were like, "Hey, if they were like, you collect media, Dan. This is just garbage. We're not going to watch these." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And I knew I didn't have any place to put them, but I packed them into boxes, got them home, and realized that, there's no way I'm going to dedicate shelf space to this many burned DVDs. I really don't want to mix this many just burned DVDs in with my collection of original media. And that's when I just started buying just plain paper sleeves and downsizing them, which resulted in several cases of the cases that, like, whoever had done this project and burned them put a lot of effort into this. Like the way he labeled them was just with a Sharpie, not so impressive. But as far as like the papers that he made, he cut them to shape and put them inside the cases. And from what I could tell, like, he bought new cases for them, rather nice quality cases. So I boxed those all up and packed them away. I'm like, well, I'll do something with them eventually. And eventually, like earlier this year, I finally got around to just listing them for sale on eBay. But yeah, I was going to sell them in quantities of 10. The first 10 that I sold, I kind of underestimated what it would cost to ship it. Because it doesn't qualify as media. It's a case. Now, I think if I just shoved old-ass DVDs in them, or burned DVDs, or bad burns, or whatever, I could put old AOL discs in them if I still have any. And it would, I think, technically qualify for media mail. That kind of feels like cheating. So, and it's not what I'm selling, so, why do I need to ship my garbage, But yeah, the 10 pack, I don't think I made any money on it. I think I broke even on it a little bit. I mean, I think I got good feedback from the person I sent it to, and I'm sure he enjoyed the cases. So I went back and, receipt in hand, knowing exactly, what it cost me to ship them. And mind you, I got like no money involved in the product. It's just the time and effort of taking the photographs of them, creating the eBay listing, and the time it takes to pack them when I ship them, and to say nothing of now, like how much time it takes just walking back and forth to the post office, because holy crap, I mean, that's like every time I walk to the post office, like an hour of my life I don't get back. But anyway, yeah, so I looked at what it cost me to ship it and kind of figured like how much money I wanted to be making off of them, which honestly wasn't much. But anyway, I set the price. I think I set the price at like $19.99, and I dropped, and of course nobody biting, for 10 of those cases for $19.99, and that's including shipping. I do all my prices at this point including shipping because it just makes it easier on the buyer. I do think I kind of eat it more on the eBay fees doing that, but whatever. Anyway, I dropped down to $18.88, still no bites, and after that listing spent several months with nobody buying either of them. I get the listing for the black ones and listings for the clear ones. I thought, well, yeah, that's too much money for 10 cases, but maybe that's a reasonable price for 20. And so I adjusted each one to 20 quantity, and then I've got a bulk. What the fuck is going on here? I want that guy to wreck so bad. I think the speed limit here is like 35 miles an hour. The guy's driving like a complete fucking idiot. He's gonna wonder why he got a DUI. Anyway, so I got distracted by a guy driving like an idiot, making an insane amount of noise. Anyway, yeah, I revised each one to 20 pack. I got there's a thing on eBay where you can set up quantity discounts, and because I have such a large quantity of these, I also set up some quantity discounts where if you buy multiple packages, I think up to 3, you get, you buy 2, you get just an automatic discount. You buy 3, you get an automatic discount. I kind of curious who needs, like 20 seems like an excessive amount of DVD cases. So I really question who's going to need, 40 or 60. But anyways, I already had it kind of set up that way when I had them in packs of 10. So just kind of adjusted the listing to reflect 20. And it's been sitting on my eBay for quite a while, and I finally sold 20 of the clear ones a couple days ago. In fact, that's the thing I've been mentioning. I've mentioned it on a few of my vlogs. I don't know who manages to follow any of my rambling, but I mentioned I had something I needed to go get at my storage and then bring it back home and pack it at my storage or blah, 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 like what a hassle it was going to be. And yeah, it's hard to put a finger on how many man hours I have involved in this box of 20 lightly used DVD cases under my right arm, but yeah, like it was a long walk to my storage, pretty long walk back to get home. It took a while to pack them up. Now hopefully you saw my couple videos back where I went to the post office to ship a Taylor Swift CD. And it's from there I was headed over to my storage to get them. Oh, and then I ran into Tony, so that was kind of sidetracked me. But yeah, I did. Her and I both went over to Pack and Store. She's like besties with the manager, so she kind of went in and was hanging out with the manager. I went into my storage, and dang, it took me a while to find them because it wasn't an item that was selling it. I ended up just moving the cases of them way. I don't know what I was thinking for something that was. I still had a current listing on eBay, but I moved them way to the back of my storage, and it took me a while to find them. My storage units don't have any kind of lighting in them at all, so like by the time I got there, it was like right as the sun was going down, and like trying to navigate around inside there with my iPhone flashlight. And yeah, that was a pretty mammoth pain in the ass, to put it mildly. But yeah, I got them, and trying to figure out where the hell they were. I opened several boxes and found several boxes of other types of media that I'm just hanging on to because I just have such an insane media collection. And one of them I found a Muppets, a factory sealed Muppets VHS tape. I do really like selling factory sealed new old stock media on eBay. So much media sells for very little these days, aside from vinyl, of course, but other media formats sell for so very little on audio and video, just because the average person just finds it easier to stream these days. But there seems to be a niche for new old stock stuff that's still factory sealed, for collectors and for people who want to give it as a gift to collectors. So I grabbed that Muppet tape. I haven't looked online to see what it's selling for. I mean, for all I know, it's an overstock thing, but kind of crossing my fingers that I can maybe get, $10-15 out of it. I'm hoping. I mean, it's possible it's some rare collector's item that I can get a whole lot for, but honestly, if I get 6 out of it, I'll be happy. And I don't remember what I paid for it, or even if I did pay for it. It's, there's just so much media I'm sitting on. So much of it I was collecting for myself. Some of it I was thinking to resell. I mean, that's something I used to do. That was when I was married and lived in Tucson. That was actually my main source of income. I mean, I was a cab driver then, but I made more money selling media online than I did as a cab driver. And actually, you got to the point where I was putting more hours into selling media online than I was driving my cab. But, at this point, that feels like a whole nother lifetime ago. And back then, like, the premium format was compact discs. And at this point, like, so many CDs you can't even give away. So, meanwhile, I'm still sitting on a bunch of them. Not from then. I mean, everything I had back then, my ex-wife stole and disposed of. But, she's getting hers rotting in hell right now. So, anyway, so back to this big-ass box of DVD cases. I don't know what it's going to cost to ship. But at least, one thing I've kind of expressed frustration with the post office is that they've got a really nice automated kiosk for selling stuff. And so many people stand in line and use the postal clerks anyway, when what they're doing they could do through the kiosk. I have no choice. Whoa. That is a fire. They got a fire pit in front of their apartment, their little patio. I can't help but think that's probably against their lease. Weird. Oh well. Not my problem at all. Okay, hang on. I gotta adjust this package. My arm is starting to hurt. Oh. God, this is a lot easier when I had a vehicle to do it in. Oh, God damn it. Just dropped the box. That's all right. I did a really epic job of packing it, so it'll be fine. Yeah, things have definitely changed since I was doing online sales of media 18 years ago. And one thing that's dramatically, not only has the postal rate's gone up a lot, but one thing that's dramatically changed is how the level of care that the postal workers treat packages. Back then, I could put a compact disc into a padded envelope, and it was good. I used to actually print invoices, which I don't do now because I don't have a computer at home or a printer. I mean, I have a printer, but it's just, I don't have anything to drive the printer. I mean, theoretically, I guess I could print from my iPhone, but the printer I have is like 20 years old, so it's no way I could print from an iPhone with it without setting up some kind of print server, and I have the means to do that. So, but yeah, back then I used to print invoices. The main site I sold on actually was half.com, which hasn't existed for a long time. And then I sold on Amazon. Yeah, my ex-wife caused me to lose my Amazon store. That's another story for another day. Still pretty irritated about that, but yeah. It's but whatever, she's burning in hell. So yeah, anyway, so I've just really noticed that nowadays the Postal Service is just really abusive with packages. Like the postal carriers, they don't deliver things with care anymore. They just slam that shit. And I've mentioned several times my friend Nick, who owns a record store up in North Scottsdale, called the Vinyl Record Dude. And I'll never forget, like, I mean, I see stuff like this posted all the time on Reddit, particularly in our vinyl, but I see it in other subreddits dedicated to media collecting, particularly DVD collectors and CD collectors, where people are, frustrated that they ordered something, either a new release, something old, collectible, whatever, and the seller, to be honest, the seller packed it in a way that should be adequate, but because their postal carriers nowadays are so abusive with packages, it just arrived destroyed. Yeah, at this point, it just kind of is what it is. I can't fix the Postal Service, but I can go extreme overkill with the way I package products. And this box in my right arm is no exception. It is very, very, I could throw it on the freeway and probably get hit by a car and still be all right, as long as I didn't directly run over it. Not that I'm planning on doing that, but hey, look, there's that jacked up utility thingy again. Yeah, it seems like this just happened. Oh yeah, I did this walk earlier yesterday. Anyway, so I was mentioning the kiosk. For whatever reason, media mail, which almost everything I sell is media mail is not an option in the kiosk. So I don't have the option using the kiosk. I need to show up to the post office during their office hours, and I need to wait in the line, however long it is, and have them ring up my stuff, print the labels for it, put it on, do-da. Since these cases are not media mail, I have the option of showing up in the wee hours of the morning and using the kiosk to ship it. So it's kind of how I decided to do what I did yesterday, as far as just packing up the Taylor Swift CD and walking the Taylor Swift CD down and shipping it, and then walking over to my storage to get these cases. Yeah, for the amount of money I'm getting paid for this stuff, the amount of time I'm spending walking, like I'm not even, the amount of money I'm making per hour is just nothing. But it's all about keeping that eBay store going, and keeping my customers happy. I don't know, it's walking everywhere. I feel like for some reason that's my cross to bear now. So frustrated with the girlfriend. I mean, she's hardly ever helps me with rides at all. Which I think back to other times where I've had a girlfriend and I haven't had a car. And generally speaking, like, when I've had a girlfriend and I haven't had a car and the girlfriend has had a car, not like I made her my personal chauffeur, but things that needed to be handled, I mean, they were always there for me. And I can't say Priscilla hasn't been there for me at all, but I think the thing that most frustrates with her and the whole not really helping me out with rides and stuff is above and beyond not helping me out the rides. The inside of her vehicle is just horrendously messy. There's so much garbage in her vehicle. I'm sure some of it isn't garbage to her, but it all looks like garbage to me. There's so much garbage in her vehicle. I can't even open the passenger seat and sit down without putting my feet on stuff. And every time I open the door, shit falls out. And she can't even be bothered to clean her car, let alone, give me rides. I was talking to her friend Ebony and about, how difficult it's been for me working at Bullock's and then trying to figure out how the hell I'm getting home when I get off at like 2:30 in the morning and there's no public transit running and just, it's, so far. And she's like, well, why don't you just call Priscilla and have her come pick you up? And I didn't even dignify with a response. I just laughed. I'm like, really? You're funny. You got a funny sense of humor. Yeah, it's not happening. Day she did pick me up. I was riding the buses and it was kind of a frustrating thing, but I walked maybe about 1.5 miles from my storage heading back home. And by the time I made it up to 34th Street in McDowell, my legs are tired. My legs are just tired. That was about 1.5 mile walk, maybe a little farther. And so I sat down in the bus, and that was weird. I'm really frustrated with how much the public transit system has regressed in the past, I want to say 12, 13 years since I've had vehicles and have not been riding it. But it used to be the bus stops had signs at them showing which routes showed up. And I think it was more of a Tempe thing more than a Phoenix thing, but a lot of stops would have signs telling you, what with a schedule showing you when they showed up. And most of the stops had little lights in them, so you kind of see what you're doing while you weren't, in darkness waiting for the bus. Well, I've noticed that almost all the lights now, you still see the fixtures, but none of them work. None of those bus stops have working lighting anymore. That's just been neglected by the city of Phoenix. That shit just don't work anymore. The signs, some of the old stops still have the signs, but most of them, the signs are gone. The only sign that's there is the Next Ride sign. And I was talking quite a bit about Next Ride a couple videos ago. Yeah. So at this point, I've come to the conclusion that the Next Ride service with the text, I thought it was pretty decent, but not so much. When I got up to McDowell Road, I had to use my flashlight. I had to get in an awkward position. There's a woman, elderly, not elderly, but old enough. She's walking with a cane. Honest to God, she's probably only like 10 years older than me, but whatever. Heavyset Hispanic lady waiting for the bus, and I kind of had to get awkwardly on top of her just to see the sign, the Next Ride sign, because of where they place it inside the bus shelter. And because it was so dark, because the lighting doesn't work, it was a struggle to see it. And keyed that in. I didn't have my Obama phone with me during that trip, but I've got a text app, that will text over Wi-Fi. And according to that app, there would not be another bus for like 42 minutes from the time I got there. And I got the feeling that woman was sitting there waiting for a bus for a while. Took a picture of that, put it on my Snapchat. Y'all should follow my Snapchat, AZ Dan. On my and posted that, but yeah, showing that the next bus was like 40 minutes out, which is just crazy to me. Like, nobody should have to wait at a stop that long for a bus ever. But just out of curiosity, because that just seemed insane to me, I opened up the Valley Metro app kind of a love-hate thing with me and the Valley Metro app. It's a really impressive app as far as like what it does and how it works and everything, but I don't feel like, I feel like where it misses the mark is it feels like it was developed by people with really high-end smartphones for use by people with really high-end smartphones, and people with really high-end smartphones aren't the people who are riding public transit. The people who are riding public transit, they're using Obama phones. They're using the cheapest phone that they could find. I mean, me using a 3, almost 4-year-old iPhone is pretty freaking high-end by transit rider standards. So that app, on the average transit rider's smartphone, is so resource hungry that it doesn't really work. It works pretty great on my iPhone. I have an iPhone 6s Plus. It's older, but I mean, at the time it was a high-end phone, and it's still a reasonably powerful phone, even by modern standards. And the app runs really good on it. And as long as I've got a substantial amount of bandwidth, which is something, of course, I don't always have. It's not only his phone is the Valley Metro app kind of a resource pig, but it also uses a shit ton of data. And therein lies the other problem. People that are using, riding transit, many of them are using Lifeline phones, and not only are Lifeline phones very low-end, poorly resourced phones that can't really run the app well, but most of those plans only include 10 gigs of data a month, and the thing just that the app just uses an insane amount of data streaming all the shit it does. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there should be, for those that have the available data and have the strong enough cell phone, I think I like it. I enjoy it. But it seems like there needs to be a setting and a version of that app for people that have really crappy phones, which is the average person that rides the bus, and really, really chintzy data plans where they don't have a lot of available data, so they're not using up, 4 days worth of data just trying to see how much longer it's going to be till their bus shows up. Anyway, when I got on it, I took some screenshots of it, and of course I don't know how to add those to my videos, unfortunately, but there was a bus coming. It was and it showed up in probably about 10-15 minutes, so I didn't have to wait a terribly long time. And according to the Valley Metro app, that bus was around 15 minutes late, and the bus that was behind it was also running about that late. I showed all the other buses behind that being on time, but I'm thinking that's a pipe dream. I got a feeling that they would continue to be that late if I sat there and continued to monitor it. But so yeah, eventually the bus showed up. I didn't have to wait too terrible long, but yeah, I mean, somebody who's trying to do a typical run like I do most of the time, where you're doing a couple connections, they would have been fucked if that bus was part of their itinerary, because it was running insanely late. I don't say insanely, but I mean like 15-20 minutes late. That's pretty damn late. Certainly more than enough to throw off some connections. My biggest question with it is I'm just a little perplexed by how I got one answer from using the NextRide service, the text message version of the NextRide service, and a completely different answer using the app. I mean, theoretically, they're all working off the same data, but yeah, I got completely different answers. Anyway, I'm here. I'm gonna use this here self-service machine to ship that box out where it's going. But hey, thanks for the ride, and hopefully I get enough space to maybe shoot another one of these on the walk home or wherever it is I go after I leave here.